What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. Today it is time for week 23 Premier League predictions. I just want to say a massive shout out to all of the new subscribers on the channel. We're getting really close to 31,000 already, and it's clear to see that you are enjoying all of the other videos on, Champions League, leagues in Spain, Italy, Germany. It's been super cool, but today it is the flagship series, the Premier League. So why not drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and leave your predictions down in the comments. Here are the winning accumulators we had since the last Premier League video. If you want to pause that and take a look at it, you can. If you want to get shouted out in every single video, like the members flashing up on the screen now, then be sure to go and join the Patreon using the link in the description to get exclusive members tips and accumulators, as well as access to me in the group chat or private direct messaging to me on my phone. You can do that whilst clicking the link in the description, and of course it helps support the channel, and you get a shout out in every single video. So like I said, if you want to do that, if you want to get involved, then click the first link in the description. Let's get rid of the Champions League background and go to the Premier League, kicking it off with a massive game at the Vitality Stadium. It is Bournemouth up against Nottingham Forest. Now, in the previous game week, Bournemouth absolutely battered Newcastle, which was an incredible result. Probably Newcastle's heaviest defeat at St James's Park in a little while. And Nottingham Forest, they did beat Southampton in a very high-scoring 3-2 win. This is a difficult one to call. I think maybe I'm being slightly swayed by Bournemouth's result against Newcastle, but their form is so good. So even with the absentees that they've got, I'm going to say that it's honours even in this fixture. I'm going to go for a Desmond 2-2 draw between the two teams, and the tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.7. I know Forest have had a good defense, but Bournemouth are just scoring goals. They just are, and I think they're going to carry on that run here. After this, it's Brighton up against Everton. Both teams getting an underdog win, I guess. Maybe not Brighton, but an underdog win in the previous game week. Brighton beating Manchester United 3-1 and Everton beating Tottenham 3-2. So I think this is going to be an exciting game, a close game. I think at Goodison Park, this has 1-1 or 0-0 written all over it. But you know what? I'm just going to shade it to Brighton. I thought they were very good in their performance against Man United, albeit United were bad. I'm going to say that Brighton win this one 2-1. And because I like the value, instead of going both teams to score and instead of going Brighton to win, I'm going to combine it and say Brighton and both teams to score at 3.6. Now, whilst this is my highest odds tip of the week, there is a tip later on in the Man City-Chelsea game at odds of 3 that I really like. So stay tuned for that. Obviously, some of you will go ahead and skip forward in the video to look at it. But regardless, I think Brighton win this one, and I'm going to give extra value to both teams to score. After this, we travel to Anfield for Liverpool up against Ipswich. Ipswich got battered by Man City 6-0. Liverpool, in the previous game week, beat Brentford 2-0 thanks to 2 stoppage time winners from Darwin Núñez. I think this is going to be quite straightforward, and I don't think Ipswich are even going to score. I'm going to say 4-0 to Liverpool, but instead of Liverpool to win at 1.1, I'm going to go Liverpool win to 0 at 1.83. I know Ipswich are generally good for a goal, but if they can't score against Man City, I don't see how they score against Liverpool, so I'm going 4-0. After this, we travel to St Mary's Stadium for Southampton up against Newcastle. Southampton, a valiant effort against Forest. Newcastle, humbled by Bournemouth. I think they need to bounce back here. What better way to do that than playing the worst team in the league? I'm going to say that Newcastle win this one 3-1. The tip will be Newcastle to win and over 2.5 goals at 1.75. I thought about over 1.5 goals, but the odds are only 1.53. And given that I think there's going to be plenty of goals in this fixture, even if Southampton do contribute, I think over 2.5 goals is fairly safe enough. After this, we travel to Molineux for Wolves up against Arsenal. In the previous game week, Arsenal threw away a 2-0 lead against Villa, and Wolves lost to Chelsea. We tipped Chelsea and both teams to score there at 2.37, which was good. Arsenal have just come off a win in the Champions League 3-0 against Dynamo Zagreb. We predicted a 2-0, but tipped Arsenal to win and under 3.5 goals at 2.15. I'm going to go for the same prediction that I did there. Arsenal to win away from home 2-0, and at better odds, Arsenal to win and under 3.5 goals at 2.2. Now, moving on, it's the big game. We travel to the Etihad for Manchester City up against Chelsea. Man City 2-0 up against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League, and then 4-2 losers in the end. And I have to say, bravo to VAR, because there's no way without VAR the fourth PSG goal would have been allowed, because had it been what it looked like initially to the naked eye in the play, he was miles offside. Only, like, I would say caveat to that was that I think VAR took too long. All you needed was to look at one replay to see that the touch came off Guardiola to set the PSG player through in what would have been an offside position. But other than the time it took, which was much too long and unnecessary, I guess it was a big decision, but still it didn't need to take that long. Bravo to VAR for calling that one out. I think it was obviously the right call and it was necessary. So Man City in a lot of trouble. If you remember correctly, before Chelsea went on their massive unbeaten run in 2024, they lost on the first game week to Man City at Stamford Bridge 2-0. But I think things have changed. Man City, they don't have Rodri, obviously, and they really are missing him. So I'm going to say a 2-2 draw between the two teams. But my tip here, I fail to see with the attacking talent that they have on both sides. We don't see this. A penalty in the match at 3. I know this is somewhat speculative because you just never know. But I really would be shocked if there wasn't a penalty with both teams trying to score goals and both teams perhaps frantically defending. If there's a lot of goals in the game, there's likely to be a penalty as well. Penalty in the match, 3, 2-2 draw. I like the look of that. After this, it's Crystal Palace up against Brentford at Selhurst Park. And I tell you what, Crystal Palace, they're looking really good. Brentford obviously lost to Liverpool at home. Their away form is still bad. Palace got a really good result away against West Ham. And I think they go from strength to strength here and win this one too. So I'm going to say 2-1 to Palace. The tip, however, in case we see a score draw, is going to be Crystal Palace double chance and both teams to score at 2.05, which is the same odds as Palace to win. It just keeps a possibly very likely 1-1 scoreline onside as well. And I think that's a pretty good tip. Now, after this, it's Tottenham up against Leicester. I was actually in the shower this morning thinking about predictions, and I thought, you know what? Do I just predict like a 3-1 win to Leicester? And even if it was Southampton Tottenham were playing, I'd consider it. But Leicester are just so bad. They are exactly the team that Tottenham need to face at home to stop the rot temporarily. So if it wasn't Leicester, I'd go for the other team to win. But I'm going to say that Tottenham win 4-2. The tip is going to be over 3.5 goals at 1.9 because it could be 2-2, could be 3-3. Leicester could win 3-1. I genuinely could see any result here. I just see goals. I'm going to go 4-2 to Spurs. After this, it's Villa Park for Aston Villa up against West Ham. Now, Aston Villa lost out to Monaco in the Champions League, and West Ham, in the previous game week, as I said, lost to Crystal Palace, which was a very good result for Palace, but a poor result for West Ham. And Villa, they have a decent record against West Ham recently, and I think they are just going to get the win. I know recently this season, when they've been in the Champions League, they haven't performed as well in the league after that, but I'm just going to shade it 2-1 to Villa. And my tip is Aston Villa to win at 1.55. It's not my favourite on the list. It's the lowest odds I'm tipping today. If you want to go for something else, you could look at both teams to score. But I'm not super confident on this game, so perhaps stay away from this one. There's plenty more to look at, including, of course, the final game of the game week, Fulham up against Manchester United at Craven Cottage. Man United losing to Brighton. Fulham beating Leicester as expected, and I think it carries on for Manchester United. I think the misery carries on. I think they lose. I could have gone for more, but I'm going to go for Fulham to win this one 2-1. And just in case Man United finally decide to turn up, I'm going to tip both teams to score at 1.66, much like the game against Southampton when it looked like, oh my god, Man United are going to lose again. They went and scored, but they of course conceded to the worst team in the league. So I think both teams to score at 1.66 is a very good pick, given that there's no way Man United can lose to 0. I mean, it definitely can happen, but they really shouldn't. So I think both teams to score at 1.66 is a great tip, and I'm going to say that Fulham do get the win 2-1. That does it for this video. If you did enjoy it, please do drop a like. Like I said at the start, subscribe down below to join us on the road to 31,000, 35,000, 40,000 and beyond. If you enjoy your football, your Premier League, Champions League, La Liga, Serie A and Bundesliga, we got it all on the channel. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.